Alright, welcome back. This is MDawg, and we are starting a new episode here post our first trip to Copper Lake. Coming back from Copper, we're level 13. We only have 60 silver, but remember we did purchase two feeder kits here, so we've got two of these, and well on our way to a third with the 60 silver. And let's go ahead and get these set up right here. I actually want to try a common roach farm here, so we're going to be using these new setups. We will make some roach ground bait, which we don't have yet, and preferably we want to use size 22 hook, and we'll do a combination of I think I'm going to have to buy another 22 if we want to use 22. Combination of red worm and regular worm. I also want to go ahead and get the shovel. We're going to buy the shovel for sure. Unfortunately, we have not made tea yet, which we'll need to do as well. Let's see. We could possibly do the sleeper. Possibly, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of these orders we could maybe do. Look at these rough orders. How much time is left on these? Plenty of time. I'm not sure about a rough spot, but we might be able to figure that out. Alright, so what do I want to do here? We want to make some common roach ground bait. What are we missing? So bloodworm. Basically just get a couple of bloodworms and then we're good. Okay, so here we are in the shop. Two things we need to get. First, we want to get bloodworm, just a couple of these. And second, we want to get, if they have them, okay, they don't have 22 hooks. What if we buy a more expensive one? Yes. Now we'd rather get this one, but that one's out of stock, so we'll get this one, that's fine. That's fine. Spend a little bit of silver on that. Okay, what about accessories? No, we don't want accessories. What we want is hardware store shovel. Now, unfortunately, there's not a ton we can do till we make tea. So I may send myself a little bit of tea, but you basically, we'll cover how to make tea once we have the silver for it. I'm hovering over the wrong thing. The tea kettle only costs 19.9 silver. And then you also need matches, which are very cheap, and, you know, a couple pieces of firewood. And then we'll be rocking and rolling on tea as well. So we'll have that soon. All right. So we should basically have what we need to get the common roach ground bait, crackers, bloodworm, caramel. Gonna make two of these for now, and then let's go ahead and put this in there. Roach mix. Oh, we do have a liter, even though it's not the perfect size. It's 5.4, but it's made of fluorocarbon, so that's why we're putting that in there. And on this setup, we need to add the 22 hook and the red worm. Nope, regular worm. Red worm was on the first one. And there's our roach mix. I guess the other thing I wanted to check, just so that we know, is what is the deal with red worms? Can we purchase them? Yes. Okay, we can't afford them, but if we need more red worm, we can purchase them. So I purchased the shovel. We're going to assign that to slot 4. I'm going to hit the number 4, and we're going to dig for the first time. And we actually got a red worm, which is great. And we start to level our bait harvesting. Obviously, the other thing we're going to want to do is get some bread out of the grocery store so that we can start crafting bread and shoveling worms. Okay, we're going to try to use this spot that is down here It's at 45.74. This is a roach spot. We hopefully will catch a few other things as well, but a lot of what we'll be catching here are going to be the common roach. Let's see, 45.74. So as let's see kind of what the bite rate is like, and also what bait seem to be working best. Actually kind of want to do it this way. And let's see, the recommended clip right now is a 10-meter clip. Yeah, something like that. Alright, so there's our first setup on redworm. And here is our second setup on worm. Both with small enough hook that we'll hopefully be able to catch things like occasionally catch things such as, what am I trying to say? Oh, I forgot to put the leader on the other one. Maybe Chinese sleeper, maybe rough, especially in the night. I'm going to do 10-meter clip on this too. I'm going to do regular worms on this one as well. And we actually have tiny, the size 24 hooks on this one, but no ground bait on that one. All right, first bite comes in on the worm. So this is the kind of thing where we're hoping that we can just get a lot of bottom fishing points. We're not going to make a ton of silver per fish in a spot like this, but you can definitely get cafe orders done, and you can also just pretty aggressively level up your bottom fishing because of hopefully what will be a really good bite rate. I'm trying to get something set up on my main account sort of in between bites here. Okay, interesting. I wonder if there is something. So I was actually wanting to test out some caramel setup at Copper. Just gonna see how this seems to be working. All right, there's a roach. How do we have this set up? 3.1? Like, what could possibly be? Oh, it's just a really nice roach. Wow. A 1 kilo roach, huh? Okay. That's interesting. So where we are on the map right now is just on the edge here, basically 6B, right across from camp. And although I do think we'll catch some other things besides just roach, we are going to be catching a lot of roach here, especially it looks like on the worm setup. But during the day, we're going to catch a lot of roach. I still need to remember to put that leader on, I guess, the second middle rod. There's a Chinese sleeper. Nice little perch. Made it to 1% bait harvesting. I am going to show crafting tea, but I'm sending myself a little bit of cup of fair tea that you actually get from the New Year's Day fair. I'm just doing this so that until we can afford to make the tea, we at least have this option sort of in our limited time to keep our energy up so that we can keep shoveling as often as possible. We already have a few roach. Let's double check. I'm going to go ahead and get the free meal real quick is why I'm running over here. You do get a free meal at Mosquito. Not sure that I've ever shown this free meal place before. Maybe I have, but since we spent so much time at Copper early. But right down here, hot food once every 24 in-game hours. And that will allow our energy to start popping up a little more quickly. So we need one more roach and we can claim that order, which there's plenty of time left. A couple more sleepers, a couple more gibble. If we sit here for a little while, we actually can probably get some of these orders done. And then once it gets to be actual nighttime, whether it's here or another spot, try to figure out if we can catch some rough for those rough orders. As you know from Copper, rough cafe orders can just be really, really good to work on, and they are currently available. Again, we're trying to make some silver if we can, but the main purpose right now is just to get our quote-unquote engine going in terms of getting some cooking, getting some bait harvesting, all of the things, so that we're working sort of to get, you know, all the systems are kind of working together. There's a rough. I figured we might see some rough here, especially as it gets to be nighttime on these worms. So we can probably dig one more time. Almost. We can almost dig. We need to change all of these to 14 gram quiver tips, actually. Go. Hey, that's 2 in a row. The rough are coming in early. I love this. Alright, this is the one that needs the new Not the new, needs to put the feeder leader on it. Now notice we've just got ground bait on the first and second rod. Something I've been doing more of lately. Not always feeling like with PVA or ground bait that we have to put it on all three. Obviously sometimes it's worth doing that, but sometimes if we're wanting to be mindful of not overfeeding the water or just more of a slow burn, maybe it's better to not always go immediately to full blast. Then again, there's sometimes we also want to throw boilies in manually or once I get this account set up, I was just kind of getting all the rods set up. I'm going to go fish at copper on my main account a little bit tonight, see how that's going. It's probably what we'll be doing, at least for the beginning of the stream tomorrow, so I want to kind of test that out. I say that if I end up being able to stream tomorrow. It kind of depends on how things go. Likely will, but we'll have to see. There's a new fish on bottom, so that one was white bream. We definitely can dig again. So when we dig, we use up all of our energy really quick, and then we sort of wait for the energy to come back up. And just as a reminder to me, I am going to now, it's tempting in some ways to go to a higher hook size and try to hit like larger roach. But because one of the main goals right now is to level up our bottom fishing, I think just staying with as good a bite rate as we possibly can is the better play. Okay, I think that's our second Chinese sleeper. Another roach. Perch. If that's big enough, that's our third Chinese sleeper. We have a bit of a screamer on it, Copper. It's all good. Looks like it's just an unhappy mirror carp so far. All right, let's go check another little perch. Personal record maximum number of fish caught in one day. Yeah, I guess that's true since we did so much fishing at Copper so far. Hey, there's a nice crucian. You know, really a lot of it, and just a little bit of everything's coming out here actually. It's kind of nice, which does make it like a really good cafe spot, you know, when there's a lot of just like variety of cafe orders. I would imagine we've finished one or two of them. None of our rough are large enough for that yet. Oops. But we're 2 out of 5 on that one already. Yeah, we can go ahead and finish this common roach order. So here's 10 silver for 5 fish that would have been worth pretty much nothing. We're 2 away on perch. That's 7 more silver, and that order is almost up, so we will go ahead and turn this in. And then, oh, that's perfect. Yeah, so a ton of cafe orders. That's great. Keep digging. I wonder if the rough will actually be farmable from here once it's nighttime. Oh, that was weird. That was kind of like, not stuck, but just kind of sitting in a spot there, it looked like. Yeah, there's a nice rough. You know, once again, on a 24 hook, this is a common roach right around a kilo. I just think that the roach are so healthy in this spot and really good size that even on really small hooks, we're just seeing some really good ones come in. Which we'll check it, you know, in a minute, but once you get up near a kilo, those roach actually do start to add up in terms of value. It's not nothing at that point. I just hope these rough keep biting. If you can farm roach all day and then catch rough in the same spot at night, that is the kind of spot at Mosquito that, especially for a new player, you're just hoping for. We're starting to hit rough, which means I'm going to switch to regular worm, and I'm going to take off one of the ground baits. I think the roach will definitely slow down at night, and so why not just embrace the rough? We could have also gone to smaller hook size, but I'm not going to do that quite yet, and just see how it does. How much sweet dough do we have? 60 pieces. There's another rough. There's another rough. Or roach. Alright, let's dig. What are we up to on our bottom fishing? There's 2.4% on that. There's a sip of tea. And we're at 23.8% bottom fishing. At 25%, we get to use Paternoster rig. We'll talk more about that rig when we get to it. Alright, let's just go get a quick update here on these rough cafe orders, because that will determine sort of how long we sit here. But again, if you're a low-level player, fairly new to the game, this is this kind of spot you're after, because we're going to end up potentially, let's see, this largest one is 50 gram. And these have to be 89, so it doesn't count for any of them. So let's just go ahead and turn this in so we don't have to worry about it. That's 20 silver right there. We're potentially doing like so many multiple orders at the same time from the same spot. So like, you know, we're just making a lot of silver, and more importantly, leveling up things like our bait harvesting and our bottom fishing as we fish in the same spot. So we're probably not getting the larger rough order. Let's see what we have on the line right now. The rough could get bigger as we sit here. Just don't know if I want to count on that, or if we want to go check out another spot just to give us more data, more information. Yeah, I think we do. Let's see what, if anything, is on line 1. So I decided to put the lines back out because there's actually something I want to go get first before we go do this. Alright, so we want crucian gibble carp mix, but we also want to be able to make tea. I would like to be able to show you us making some tea here before, since we're going to be moving to, so I'm going to move us to a spot that's over there near camp. We're going to try to catch some nice fat crucians. But while we're over there, we might as well, let's see if we can purchase tea. Yes, we can. So we'll just get 3 packs. That'll be enough to make this first time. And from the hardware store, let's get the tea kettle. Back down to 6 silver, but we're good now. I think we already have crucian gibble carp mix, but let's make another stack just in case. And make sure we have enough to make one more stack. All right, we need crackers and maybe millet porridge. Okay, so we're going to look at ground bait and additives, millet porridge, at least a couple of them. All right, has it been 24 hours yet? Yes, it has. So we got another meal. We dug some worms. All right. So we are going over to, it's 6478. It's a nice little short clip over here. We're going to go just see if we can catch some nice crucian carp and see what they seem like over there. So I figured we might as well catch a couple more rough while we're purchasing stuff from the store. But we are going to not even attempt shoot. I'm realizing we don't have the size hook that I would like to have for what we're about to do, but that's okay. We will make it work. 64.78. Ideally, I think you want probably about a 6 or so for what we're about to do, to try to like lean into the heavier carp, crucian carp. We don't have that, so we'll have to go a little bit more on the extreme, a little higher and a little lower size than that. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 64.78, kind of right here. And we are going to use crucian gibble. We'll use up this one first. And I'm going to put a large 1 hook on this one. And we're going to go sweet dough. And then on this one, we're also going to do crucian gibble mix, and we're going to do a size 8 hook with sweet dough, 8-meter clip. And then on this one, let's do a 16, and just sort of as a counter test, let's do bread. Also clip 8. Okay, so while we're waiting, now this could be a pretty slow bite rate, but some nice crucians have been coming out. Again, I just don't know what the bite rate's been like. But one of the reasons why I put us on this spot is so that we could go right over here to camp. I want to show you how we craft things in this game, especially in the beginning. So we're going to look at the campfire, and because we have a few things in our inventory, we have the firewood and the matches, we're going to be able to light the fire. And because we have a tea kettle and pack of tea, we're going to be able to craft the actual tea. Okay, so we hit Y to start the fire, and then we hit E to start crafting. We don't have any potatoes, but the next lowest level thing you can craft is tea. Just put the tea in here for materials. Your tea kettle will go there that you purchased from the hardware store. And then you get this sound over and over as you learn to craft tea. Alright, so I have stood here and crafted all of that tea. So we have no packs of tea left. So we crafted all 30 tea, which ended up making 180 portions. And so now if we go to our tea that we just crafted and we right click on it and make it a favorite, then when I hit T, hold down the letter T, I can easily click on this. The other thing you could do is you can actually put this in your one of your numbers, and so then you could drink tea just by hitting that number. Now let's go see, I actually don't want to do that, but let's go see. It sounds like we do have fish on, so we've been making tea for quite a while. Let's see what fish we've caught here. So this one has, yeah, this feels like a decent size. So this is our large 1 hook with sweet dough. It's an okay size crucian, 863 gram. Unfortunately, it looks like our other sweet dough has not caught anything. Bread here has, that's also a crucian. So good to know that bread is working in a similar fashion here on the crucians. Yep, and there's not a fish on the middle rod. So don't exactly know how slow the bite rate is. It might be pretty slow, but I mean, again, we were crafting tea for quite a while there. But they are here. And I think people have been hitting trophy crucians. I don't know that this is necessarily like a great spot to farm for silver or XP or all that. I just noticed that some crucian trophies have been coming out here. Another pretty quick bite, this time on bread. Oh, it fell off. Hate to see it. That is one thing that's going to happen occasionally, especially when you have the not quite as great a hooks and just not as much skill yet, but you always hate to see it. So the crucians do look pretty good here, both on sweet dough and on bread. So I don't know, hopefully I've made it clear here. The reason why we bought the shovel, the reason why we're digging, the reason why we crafted tea, ultimately is to, as quickly as we can, keep digging to level up harvesting baits. We're at 3.6% now. Every time we dig, we have a chance of leveling it up. Every time we make bread as a bait, we have a chance of leveling it up. But to unlock pearl barley, sweet dough, semolina, garlic dough, cheese cubes, cottage cheese, pea porridge, some of these really important baits, we just need to be able to keep leveling up harvesting baits. It's worth putting silver into that as you go, for sure. And the shovel is sort of a way, for 20 silver or whatever, you can get a lot of quote-unquote free points along the way while you're digging, especially at lower percentages, where all of the other baits that we'll make along the way to get more and more points in it, that will cost money because you'll have to buy the ingredients to craft into those baits. Just like right now when we buy the loaf of bread, you know, it costs a few silver to get that bread, and then we turn it into bread, and that gives us points in harvesting baits. So we're just trying to level that up. All right, so we're sitting here at 47 minutes. We've still got some pretty nice fish even after the cafe orders that we've turned in. And I feel like we've seen a few spots here at Mosquito, which was kind of my goal here, is to sort of do a tour of different maps. Some maps will probably spend more time than others, just because of, if we're going to lean into bottom fishing primarily, then some maps just work better than others. Remember, you can always fish off of this pier, you know, 8 to 10 clip or whatever, and catch a lot of roach as well as everything else. That's always a pretty active spot. And I think we've talked about this spot before, but if you go clip 8 here, just like in the last place we were fishing, you can catch, we'll use semolina on one, you can catch some really nice crucian gibbles. I mean, this is one of just like the no-brainer spots. 8, 9 clip here, whatever size hook you want to use, bread, worms. If you do have some of the baits unlocked that you can craft, like sweet dough, semolina, pearl barley, those can be quite good there as well. We probably are going to forget about the perch order. That would have been another 10 silver, but I'm not going to sweat it because we're just going to catch a couple more crucian gibbles or whatever, and then we'll be done. And we get another 36 silver just from what's left over. Yeah, see, these roach up over a kilo, they really add up. Rough, of course, add up. We're doing quite well with all of the cafe orders and the fish that we're catching here right now. It's going very good. Let's see, is that fish on or is it still nibbling? It actually might be on now. Let's see, first rod I'm guessing. Yeah, okay. So semolina catches the first fish. Small crucian it looks like. Alright, fish on sweet dough as well. The roach will eat anything. And not a fish on bread yet. We'll dig up those wood worms. Little crucian on bread. I know I go through these fish quick as I'm catching them, but hopefully you notice that even like that little crucian we caught that was not a marker, we still got points in bottom fishing. We're still quickly working our way towards level 14 as well as level 25 in bottom fishing. That's a nice crucian. So I think the next thing we do want to do is, now that we've got stuff moving with the tee and the shovel, and we want to keep making ground bait to level up ground bait, but I think we want to pretty aggressively start trying to save for the third feeder kit. It's going to be hard to get it over the boat, actually. Okay, here we go. Another nice crucian. Alright, so that is now all of that stack of ground bait. We can throw it in without ground bait while we're waiting on for maybe one more fish from the other two, just to round it off nicely and neatly here. Alright, so we're going to end this with about 50 silver or close to it. And yeah, be pretty happy about that considering everything that we also purchased this episode. We've made some good progress. We've seen some good spots, especially that first spot. We may fish that roach rough spot again based on what the cafe orders are next time we do an episode. I do want to get to winding soon because it's always worth checking out a few spots at winding. Winding's got some great spots. Even if you are mostly into feeder fishing, there's still some great fun to be had there. And we should probably at least take a quick look at some of the float fishing you can do at winding, just so that in case you do want to take the more traditional route of low-level dace and bleak fishing, you kind of see what that's like. We have been catching some really nice rare carp here at Copper, to the point where I may end up, we'll see how tonight goes, I may end up looking at a video over here as well. Alright, so hopefully at least have a couple fish on here for our last fish. There's a crucian. Oh, that fish fell off. That's always disappointing. Although that didn't fall off as in fish got away. That fell off as in it hadn't finished, like, taking the bite. So while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and talk about paternoster. This rig, you see how the feeder is going to sit on its separate line from where the bait is? So it says this rig's characteristic feature is that the feeder is attached to a leader. This is a universal rig with a median sensitivity and auto setting of the hook. So I immediately would switch to paternoster. For all of this bottom fishing we're doing that involves, you know, different carp, really any of the fishing we're doing, I would switch to paternoster now that we have it unlocked. We're not going to put points into it. I actually don't usually put points in rig types this early in a leveling process. You certainly could, but my personal preference is putting points into classic hair rig and classic pop-up for carp fishing, and then putting points in loop rig and or inline rig for sort of universal fishing for bream and all the other stuff. So just to save the points and not put them somewhere that I'm going to want to take them out of too soon later, I usually don't put points in paternoster. But if you wanted to, you certainly can. Some people love paternoster and end up using it for quite a long time, so or always in some fishing situations. Okay, yeah, there's 46, so that puts us right at 50, and that'll be another episode in the books, but this has been really good. Thanks for watching. Hope you gained something from this. Let me know if there's any questions, and I will see you very soon.